InvestorIdeas.com podcast.
Good afternoon and welcome to another InvestorIdeas.com podcast looking at cannabis news, stocks to watch, as well as insights from experts and industry leaders. Today we're looking at announcements from DIXI Brands Incorporated, trading on the CSE as DIXI.U and the OTC as DXBRF. Sunniva Incorporated, trading on the CSE as SNN and the OTCQB as SNNVF. Aurora Cannabis Incorporated, trading on the TSX and New York Stock Exchange as ACB. APHA Incorporated, trading on the TSX and New York Stock Exchange as APHA. And Sol Global Investments Corporation, trading on the CSE as SOL and the OTCQB as SOLCF. First, looking at DIXI Brands Incorporated, one of the cannabis industry's leading consumer packaged goods companies, who announced plans to introduce a new confectionery product called DIXI Bursts. The pulled taffy chews will be sold in assorted packages containing blue raspberry, mango, and strawberry flavors. Each wrap burst will contain 10 milligrams of THC. DIXI has been crafting quality-infused cannabis products for nearly a decade and is constantly seeking new ways to satisfy the evolving needs of our consumers who love to explore new flavors and formats, said Andrew Floor, DIXI's Vice President of Marketing. We've had a phenomenal reaction to our latest innovation, DIXI Bursts, a hand-pulled taffy which is absolutely bursting with flavor and has a softer texture than the few comparable products in the market today. Edibles are gaining popularity in jurisdictions where cannabis use is permitted, with sales growth rates outpacing those of dried flower. For example, according to BDS Analytics data for January 2019 in Colorado, one of the most mature cannabis markets in the U.S., sales of both flower and pre-rolled joints declined from 1 year earlier and now represent less than half of total sales, whereas sales from ingestibles in the state increased by 17% over the same period, with the candy subcategory growing by 25%. Next, looking at Sunniva Incorporated, a North American provider of cannabis products and services, who announced preliminary revenue of $14 million for the 3-month period ended March 31st, 2019. This represents a 169% increase over the $5.2 million in revenue generated in the comparative 3-month period from 2018. In California, Sunniva began selling cannabis products in the first 3 months of 2019 through its wholly owned subsidiary CP Logistics LLC, with preliminary revenue of 10 million Canadian or 7.5 million US. Revenue is comprised of product sales from premium flower, vape cartridges, and concentrates. In March, Sunniva unveiled its first 3 in-house brands, Sunfire, Kindness, and Herbella, and announced the additional super premium brands will be launched in conjunction with production of the 325,000 square foot purpose-built greenhouse under construction in Cathedral City, California. The company's other wholly owned subsidiaries, Full Scale Distributors LLC and Natural Health Services Limited, contributed first quarter 2019 revenue of $2.3 million and $1.7 million respectively. In California, we now have strategic pillars in place to ensure scalability and growth for our newly announced brands, and we're very proud of the entire team for the execution and delivery of a very strong first quarter, said Dr. Anthony Haller, CEO of Sunniva. Our $14 million in revenue during the first quarter is close to the total revenue generated by Sunniva in all of 2018. With strong leadership and operating assets producing premium cannabis products, supported by our recent distribution company acquisition, we continue to demonstrate our ability to achieve significant revenue growth and secure shelf space for our Sunniva brands throughout the state. Looking next at Aurora Cannabis Incorporated, who announced that the company has been selected by the German Federal Institute for Drugs and Medical Devices as one of 3 winners in the public tender to cultivate and distribute medical cannabis in Germany. The contract will be formalized at the earliest of April 17th, pending the outcome of an appeal procedure on which a ruling is anticipated by April 10th. The tender saw 79 companies participating, with the winners able to establish production in Germany upon the completion of the contract associated with the tender. The selection process was based on the submission of a concept from domestic cannabis production, delivery, and pricing. Aurora's concept, judged on criteria such as facility, design, quality, security, and logistics, received the highest ranking out of all the concepts submitted, validating the company's leadership in integrated cultivation, production, and delivery. The company was awarded the maximum number of 5 of the 13 lots in the tender for over a period of 4 years with a minimum supply of 4,000 kilograms total. The cannabis produced will be sold to the German government, supplied to wholesalers for distribution to pharmacies. APHA Incorporated is also entering the German market, having announced that the German subsidiary APHA Deutschland GmbH, has been selected by the German Federal Institute for Drugs and Medical Devices to receive a license for the domestic cultivation of medical cannabis. The provisional decision announced by the BFARM is subject to the mandatory 10-day standstill period for public contracts, which permits unsuccessful bidders to challenge the decision before the final contract is signed. The decision would grant APHA 5 of the 13 available lots, each with a minimum annual capacity of 200 kilograms. APHA is proud to have been selected as a successful applicant in the German tender process, a testament to our high production quality standards, said Hendrik Knopp, Managing Director of APHA Germany. The decision from BFARM is a validation of our strategic approach to supporting the German medical cannabis market, including the high-quality domestic production to secure vital supply for patients. We're very pleased with our continued business momentum in Germany. Lastly, looking at Seoul Global Investments Corporation, who announced that it intends to spin off its wholly owned subsidiary, Scythian Biosciences Incorporated, into an independent publicly traded company. Upon closing of the spin-off, which is expected to occur on or before September 30th of this year, Seoul shareholders will own shares of both companies. In connection with the spin-off, SBI will be renamed Impact Biosciences Corporation and will continue to pursue a drug development in the United States for the treatment of concussions and traumatic brain injury with the proprietary cannabinoid combination drug candidate, which is being developed under contract with the University of Miami. Impact's mission is to become the first accepted drug regimen for concussive treatment. Impact has a collaboration with the University of Miami and its world-renowned neuroscientific team to conduct preclinical and clinical trials of its drug regimen. Impact's traumatic brain injury combination therapy is currently in the preclinical research phase and is undergoing animal testing. Upon completion of this preclinical phase and applicable IND-enabling studies, Impact will prepare and file an investigative new drug application with the FDA, which, if granted, would permit Impact to begin human testing. Impact has applied for 2 patents released to its TBI treatment strategy, involving the combination of multiple chemical pathways into a therapeutic regimen targeted at reducing post-injury inflammation and inhibiting the resultant gliosis and immune cascade. Impact has found a unique way to apply several pre-existing drugs in a way not previously done to target these processes. That's all for today's podcast. Podcast is now a certified word trademark on the blockchain through Cognate Incorporated CM certification. InvestorIdeas.com podcasts are also available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and TuneIn. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor of this podcast, please contact InvestorIdeas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website, and this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded that all investments involve risk and possible loss of investment. Investor Ideas does not condone the use of cannabis except where permissible by law. Our site does not possess, distribute, or sell cannabis products.